everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome back to my channel. I am very excited to announce my next project today, which is recreating this lovely lady right here. This is a mid to late 19-teens dress that was actually given to me by one of my college professors, Lynn. So Lynn, thank you so much if you are watching this. I am so excited that this is part of my collection, as well as the other dresses that Lynn sent me, and I just fell in love the moment that I took this out of the box. It was just so freaking adorable, and I knew from that very moment that I wanted to recreate it. So I have mentioned this actually, I think in at least one if not two past videos. I know I mentioned it in my video where I was cataloging all of the antiques in my collection, and I did give just a little bit of a sneak preview of this dress at that time. But today is going to be the full in-depth examination of this dress so that I can show it to you, and I can also see what exactly it is that I need to do to recreate this dress. Now, the series of videos for this dress, they are not going to start coming out until I think mid-July. I do my vlog filming at a little bit of a different rate than I do these Saturday video filmings. So yes, expect this one in July, because I think first when you're seeing this, you will still have the last Cinderella video and then a summer dress project video. Not what I'm wearing right now. This is actually an Ishakti dress, which if you are interested in this dress, I will leave a link down in the description. But yes, that's going to be the order. Last Cinderella video, a cute little summer dress, and then we'll start on this project. So besides thanking Lynn for making this possible by sending me this dress itself, I also owe a big thanks to Susan from Texas, who sent me a swatch to the fabric that I'm going to be using to recreate this dress. It's not an exact match, but it is the closest that I've been able to find, and I would not have been able to find it without Susan's help. So thank you, Susan, so much. She sent me this lovely card right here, and she also sent me a couple of swatches, including this one right here that I will be using to remake this. So again, not quite exact, but really close, and I think it'll work just fine for this project. By the way, I do have a P.O. box. If you're ever interested in sending me things, whether that is swatches of fabric, nice notes, or whatever, I do have that P.O. box. The address is listed down in the description, so don't feel obligated to send me anything, but like if you want to, mail is fun, and I haven't gotten anything in a couple months, so yeah, I like mail. Okay, let's go ahead and now take a close look at this dress. So one of the things that I really love about this is that it does actually fit my small dress form. This dress form has a waist of about, I think, 27 inches or so, and the dress almost comes exactly closed. This dress has actually been altered for theater at some point. So we do have a Velcro closure here in this dogleg waist. And so you can see like the Velcro goes to about here. So it should be a little bit farther, but I think it works just fine on this form. All of the snaps are able to close in the front, though I will get into that closure in a bit because I don't know how actually original the closure is on this dress. Again, I believe this was altered for theater based on that Velcro. But oh my god, she is just a cutie. So this is made out of a really lightweight, I believe, cotton. It's like a cotton lawn. Now the fabric that I got thanks to Susan, that is a cotton linen blend, a little bit heavier, not quite as sheer. You can, I think you can kind of see where my hand is through this. It's not super sheer, but it's a little bit sheer. And this closes again, as I mentioned, with a dog leg style closure. And so that just means that where you think the closure is, like where it would be, generally it'd be a center front closure. This one is kind of a wrap front, but it's actually fake. This right here, not a closure. That's a fake closure. So I'll show you that a little closer in a sec. But the closure does come over here. And right now it is Velcro. I can't say what it was originally, but my guess is a hook. But see, it wraps around here. We've got another piece of Velcro here, but it wraps like this past. So I'm thinking about using the new Wearing History pattern to see if I can use that and kind of alter that to match this. I think it might be the closest pattern out there. So I'm excited to give that a try. So as far as the top closure goes, what's interesting, I mean, we have all of these buttons right here, but none of these are functional. These are literally on the collar, just hanging loose. They are really cute though. I mean, they're a little discolored, but these are actually fabric wrapped buttons, and they've been wrapped, I guess, separately and then joined together. I'm not really sure how they were made, but it is fabric wrapping the buttons. But we have a little snap right here. And then oddly, it just hangs loose for a bit. And then we have another snap right here. And then comes down to the Velcro. So if we undo this Velcro, you can see the full closure like that. And actually there is a bar that is just hanging loose here, so that could be part of the original closure to have a bar there. Let's see. Oh, yep, and we have a hook here. So this is actually on the waiststay right here. We've got these hooks, and they presumably go to what I would think would have been 2 bars, only, oh no, there it is. So there's that second bar, so the waiststay would go there, and then now we have that Velcro, so this isn't really necessary, which is why this one is hanging loose here. So the hooks and bars that were over here though on the edge, those are no longer there. Those must have been taken off when the Velcro was put on. But that's our closure, so it looks like this. So you can see it really hangs and crosses to the side, even though we have our fake closure here, which is literally a lap of fabric. I mean, it really goes out of its way to look like a fake closure. And the buttons, I believe, are what actually holds that lap kind of together. Yes, it is. Look at this. So this is 2 pieces of fabric, 2 folds of fabric, and it is literally connected via the buttons. I can... Wait a second. Okay. I don't know if you heard my gasp on there, but actually this is not 2 folds of fabric at all. This is 1 piece of fabric, both of this is all 1 piece, and a fold has been put in, set in, creased and everything, and then the buttons put through it. So I thought I was going to be able to stick my finger through and out the other side, but no, it sticks into a fold right here. So it's just like pleating. It's a large pleat in the fabric that's going this way and then back and then out the other side. So a large pleat, and then as it comes down right here, it releases. So underneath the buttons, that pleat just releases and it becomes flat into the body of the dress. Look at that. I did not expect that. That is a really cute and neat technique, and I kind of love it. Like, what a cute hidden fake closure that's not even a seam. Okay, definitely excited to use that. While we're down here looking at this skirt, since I'm now sitting on the floor, I just had to show you these scalloped edges. So they have been stitched over the edge. They honestly look like they've been machine stitched. I don't know when, you know, sewing machines were started to be able to do things like this, but they really do look machine stitched. It's the same kind of look that, say, my embroidery machine would do, stitching over the edge, and then you cut away the excess fabric. So that's kind of neat. I'm gonna have to give that a try. But this is just flat. It's on the bias, this little tier. In fact, both of these tiers are on the bias. You can even see the join of the bias here where they did not match the pattern. And this is just top stitched to the skirt fabric beneath it. And then the skirt fabric continues on down below. There's no seam or join or anything. This is just where it's top stitched. So that's the fold of the fabric, and they haven't finished the edge or anything. And that continues on down to here, and then a hem is put in, and this hangs below the hem. So again, we have our machine stitch ruffles, or scallops rather, and then actually, there is no hem. They didn't hem it. It's raw. That's hilarious. That is the bottom of the skirt right there, and so it goes down about 1.5 inches past where this is applied via top stitch. And again, this is just on the bias, applied flat, no gathering or anything like that to the skirt. And that's how those little scallops are done down on the skirt. That scallop motif continues up on the collar, but now we have white edge scallops as opposed to the blue edging. And these are much smaller scallops as well. And we have that all the way around the collar. all the way around. And the collar is super cute here too. Obviously it needs a really good pressing or steaming, which I have not tried to do, but I am tempted to since it's in really good condition and it is just cotton. But this winds up being on the bias up here on the back of the collar and continues that scallop motif all the way around. And then again, it does kind of cross. So right here at the edge, it is finished with a little bit of facing, which is on the grain. This is a separate facing piece right here. There's a seam that is right on the fold. And otherwise that collar just joins in there. That facing is applied to catch all of the edges, and the facing continues down at the front of the bodice flap here, which this is just straight. This, I believe, winds up being the center front, and then with this part crossing over to go past the center front. Over here, I'm trying to figure out exactly what they did with this sort of thing here. I think this is kind of like a bias binding. And I think what's happening is that probably both the bodice layer and the collar were taken together flat, laid both right sides facing this way. And then this bias was applied like right here so that the right sides were together. And then the edge of the bias was folded over and it was machine stitched through the bias to this side of the fabric, because underneath the collar, because we see the what looks like top stitching here, but that is where the edge of the bias is. So that is funky. I might have to study that a little bit further. And that goes, I think, all the way around. Yeah, all the way around the collar, all the way to here. So that is where that ends, is where it sticks into the facing right here. This side doesn't have facing because it just has the extended collar that goes all the way down to the waist. So it's just that bias binding the whole time. And again, this is self-bias in case you didn't see before. So this is just the bias of the cotton fabric right here. The bodice is gathered into the waistline. There's a funky little tuck happening right here that I believe is due to where the Velcro was put in. I don't think that was an original sort of tuck. I think the fabric just got caught underneath the Velcro, but you can see these super fine, I think those count probably as stroked gathers right there. I mean, super, super fine. The interesting thing is that we do have a gathering thread still visible right here. They didn't take it out, or they didn't like try to make sure it was in the seam. So that's interesting. We'll take a look inside in a few minutes here, but I want to show you the exterior first. And then the skirt also has those little stroked gathers around here. It does flatten out a little here in the very front, but around the rest of the dress, we do have those stroked gathers. And in fact, it's really, really obvious right here in the back of the dress. You can see just how fine all of that gathering is, both in the skirt and also in the bodice, though again, the gathering thread is still totally visible. So I do find that very interesting. The waist, by the way, is too high for the dress form. I think part of that is that this was for someone who was quite petite. My guess is a very young woman, maybe older teenager, but also we are coming out of or we are still in the 19-teens here. We're coming out of the early teens where waists were quite high. And so the waists are starting to drop, but I don't think we're all the way down to natural waist level yet at this era. Now let's take a look at the sleeves. We have a fitted sleeve head right here, and the sleeve itself is really quite plain until we get down to the bottom. And actually, interestingly enough, I hadn't noticed this before, there is a funky little tuck going on right here. I am not sure what that's about, but it's hand sewn. It's a hand sewn tuck. Maybe they figured out the sleeve was too long. It's only on half, like one side of the sleeve. It's here. It is not here. So I really don't know why they decided to do that tuck, but the idea was that it would be covered by the cuff, because the cuff, which ends in these beautiful scallops, goes right up to past where that tuck is. You can see the hand sewn threads there, and you can see the cuff built into the seam, turned into the seam right there. So we have our scalloped edges all around the cuff, and the cuff is on the bias, whereas the rest of the sleeve is on the straight of the grain. And down here at the opening of the cuff, we have a little hook and eye to make it tighter right around the wrist, but otherwise it does just go in here. Now this is interesting. This is serging. Now I know that sergers actually did exist back to, I want to say like the 1880s or 90s, but I don't think I'd ever seen something this early with serging. So I'm going to be very interested to see if it's on the inside of the bodice as well, or if this was maybe a later mend, and that's also maybe why we have that weird tuck, if this was all mended. So I'll have to look at the other sleeve as well to see if it echoes on both sides. Okay, this is the other cuff, and it's quite different. For one thing, it has some top stitching by hand, a large running stitch running right around here, which is signifying exactly where the fold is. The other one did not have that. It's also much taller of a cuff on the outside over here than it is on the inside over here. That serging, I think, was of later mend because this one just has raw edges inside, right in there. And then you can see that stitching on the inside as well. And this one also, that tuck that was on the sleeve, this actually goes all the way around. So we have the tuck on both sides, not just on one. So probably it had started to come out of the other one, and someone did some mending on the other one and put that serging in there and everything. So yeah, I think that serging is a later addition, maybe around the time that they added the Velcro. Okay, let's go ahead, take this off of the dress form now and take a look inside. So one thing that I didn't notice about the sleeve a second ago until I laid it out just now is that there is this funky little tuck dart thing here right about at the elbow as well. This is on the seam. And yeah, that is interesting. I guess that is kind of making the arm have a little bit of a bend right there. This sleeve, by the way, only has the one seam. It doesn't have seams on both sides. So that equates to, I guess, like the back of the elbow right there. Okay, and then back to this whole serging thing, because we look inside this bodice and there's serging again. So we have serging all around the arm's eye, and it goes down the side seam right here on both sides, and it goes all the way down the sleeve. On the second sleeve that we looked at, it goes all the way down until it gets to the join of the cuff, so like right here. And then on the other one, it was going down even a little bit past there until the opening, which was right here. So maybe they decided it was too thick to get through. I'm not really sure, because this is really thick right here, even though it's so light fabric. But yeah, that's really interesting. So we really do have serging all the way inside everything, which I had never seen before. I'm going to have to delve a little deeper into that history of the serger. And yeah, I mean, I looked it up once before, but it's cool to see it when it's that old. So as far as other details go in here, again, we already talked about how it's just gathered into the waist, so there's really no other fitting in the bodice. We just have the side seams here, and that's it. We do have this waist stay right here, which I measured it. It's actually 1 3/4 inches wide, and it's a pretty heavy duty twill tape. I've seen this on some of the other 1910's stuff I have. I think I showed this in a video in January, which I will link down below, where you have a really, really lightweight dress as a whole, and it's all kind of anchored by that one waist tape. So that's the case here as well. And then we can really see into all of those gathers here down at the waist on the skirt. It was not finished, which may be to the detriment, because we've got this big old thread bunch. But yeah, none of these edges here were finished. They're all just like tucked right into there. As far as seaming goes, we have a little, I think this is a French seam right here that is done up on this seam. I'm trying to figure out where in the skirt this is. Okay, you guys, I had to put the camera down for a second just so I could find the seams. There appear to be just 2 seams in this entire skirt, and they're right here, right next to each other. So it almost feels like they took a full width of fabric and then they were like, we need a little bit more room, and put this in. And as far as I can tell, there is no shaping. I'm just looking at the direction of the pattern. There's no shaping. Yeah, they're just straight panels. So one big straight panel plus one smaller straight panel added on. Obviously, I'm going to need a little bit more than just this width of fabric because this is not very wide. So that's going to be the big thing here, is just like sizing this up to fit my size. But it's good to know that it's just straight panels, and then we have that faux tuck right there, the faux closure that's made out of a tuck right there. But yeah, that is pretty fascinating that they were able to get this whole dress out of almost just one width of fabric right there. I will measure it just so that you have an idea of exactly how wide that is, but very fascinating. Okay, I totally lied. There is actually one other seam, obviously. There's the seam in the actual closure. So let's look at this closure a little bit here. So we do have the seam here, so maybe this is 2 panels plus a little extension, but yeah, it's still just those 3 seams just here, and then the 2 that are right next to each other. So as far as the closure of the skirt goes, we have a little bit of sort of a facing, but it's lapped over both on front and back here on the bottom layer, since this is the side that it snaps to. You can see a few snaps here on the skirt so that it can stay closed. And then on this outer layer, the facing is all to the inside. So it's been tucked to the inside there, so fold it over so that you only see the one layer of the skirt on the exterior. And it's kind of all funky up here. This may have been a thing from like when they put the Velcro on, is my guess, because it is folded over here, but then it's really folded back over here, and I feel like that makes the front of the skirt right here look odd because it twists the edge basically. So yeah, I have a feeling that that was when the Velcro was put on. I wonder if maybe this was originally a little bit more gathered here, and so they needed more of that width, and then it was just where the facing was that it was folded. I feel like that makes a lot more sense. You can really feel this pressed edge here too that doesn't open up until right below the Velcro. So I think that's the case there. I'm obviously going to be trying to make this the original way, not the theatrical way with the Velcro closure. And honestly, I think that is about it for the structure of this dress. So let me get some of those things like the measurements off for you, and then we'll just kind of talk about the project that's coming up. So I measured around her waist and also the width of the skirt. The waist is 27 inches, which is why it just about exactly fits my dress form. And the width of the skirt is 67 inches. So my guess is that one width of fabric was 30 inches maybe, or maybe it was 60 inches, and then they needed that little extra 7-inch piece, because I think that's approximately how wide that little piece was. I did not measure it, but that is kind of my guess. It looked about 6 to 7 inches wide. So that is really it as far as exploring this dress goes. One of the nice things about especially summer dresses in the later 19-teens was that they did get very simple. The other really nice thing about this era of dresses is that as far as like shapewear and stuff worn underneath, you would still be wearing those long line corsets that are under bust that cover the hips. That was really still the style of corset at this era. But if you've seen any of my videos where I'm like doing measurements, 100 years of corsets, 100 years of fashions, etc., those videos, which I will link down below, you will know that my 19-teens corset actually makes my waist a little bit bigger than my natural waist instead of a little bit smaller, which means my goal with recreating this dress is to make a dress that I can incorporate into my summer wardrobe. So that's why this was going to be like my exciting project of this summer. I mean, I have other projects planned, obviously, but I wanted a historical project that I could also use for history bounding, for normal daily wear, etc. And I think that the 19 teens is really kind of perfect for that because of how well it translates into our modern fashion, particularly those nice light summer styles like this one here. So that's really going to be it for me on showing you this gorgeous dress here. And again, in a couple of weeks, I will actually be starting to sew this dress. So do make sure that you are subscribed so that you know when that video goes live. It will probably be right around mid-July when I will be starting this project. So just a couple weeks from now. So anyway, if you liked this video, please go ahead and click the thumbs up icon. And if you'd like to see more videos like this from me, like the actual project for this, as I mentioned, do be sure to click subscribe and the little bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video. I do post videos here on YouTube twice a week with my sewing vlogs out on Tuesdays and other costuming content like this out on Saturdays, but I post every day over on my Instagram, so please go follow me on Instagram. That's at Lady Rebecca Fashions. And I do, by the way, have an entire playlist of all of the antique garments that I've examined on this channel. Since this is a monthly series, I will link that playlist down below in the description and also right up above, right up here. If you would like to help support all of the work that I do on this channel, I do have a link to my Patreon and my Ko-fi account down below in the description. And I would also like to take this time to thank all of my wonderful patrons, but especially, in no particular order, Elizabeth, Audra, Sharon, Mirage, Carlin, Bobby, Maria, Heidi, Tiffany, Vivian, Grace, Jean, and Sarah. Thank you all so much for joining me this week. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Happy sewing!